Welcome back to another video. So you're thinking about moving to Hendersonville, Tennessee. You're thinking about moving to Nashville and the surrounding areas. Well, in this video, what we're going to cover everything you need to know about moving to Hendersonville, Tennessee. The good, the bad, the in and out, the yin, the yang, everything you would want to know about moving and living here in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and we're getting after it right now. Welcome back to another video. If this is your first time to the channel and you love content on moving to Nashville and the surrounding areas, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We got new content coming out all the time. You definitely don't want to miss out. And if you're thinking about moving to Nashville and the surrounding areas, if you're one of those people, shoot me a phone call, shoot me a text. The contact details are going to be down in the description. I would love to help you make your transition here to Middle Tennessee as smooth as possible. So with all that being said, let's jump right on into it. Here we go. Welcome to Hendersonville, as known as the city by the lakes. Now, there's a lot of things that we could talk about when it comes to pros and cons of Hendersonville. In this video, we're just going to cover a few really good things that Hendersonville is known for. And we're also going to include a few bad things as well that comes alongside living in Hendersonville. So the first thing that we're going to talk about today is our location. First off, where is Hendersonville? Hendersonville is about 19 miles northeast of Nashville. If we look at the map, Hendersonville, it sits right on like a high plateau of the Cumberland River. So that's why it's known as the city on the lake, the city by the lake, because you literally are right. You have water surrounding you on almost every direction. And there's a lot that comes, a lot of pros and a lot of cons that come with the location of where it's located. So the first pro that we're going to talk about in terms of our location is where we're sitting. Is we're right on the water. If you love being on the water, if you're a boat person, if you have a jet ski, if you love going out and having the time on the water, living in Hendersonville, you're gonna have that option. There's a lot going for you right there by the water. And another thing with our location, another con that we're gonna talk about is you're not really close to downtown. You're about 20-30 minutes from downtown, 45 minutes, an hour, depending on traffic, from downtown. And if you work downtown or you have to go downtown, the commute from Hendersonville really isn't that convenient, where there are some other suburbs like East Nashville, Bellevue, which are going to be a little bit easier to commute versus Hendersonville. You are a little bit out, and if you get stuck behind an accident or something going on the highway, you're going to have to go the long way, and there's really not that much option in terms of getting into downtown. So there's a pro and a con, and that's really a subjective topic. It really just depends. It's up to you if that's something for you, and so that's something we're going to put on our list right off the bat is our location. That could be a good thing or that could be a bad thing for you. It really just depends. So there's a few other things that I want to share about Hendersonville. Another pro about Hendersonville is the population growth. There's a lot of stuff going for you in Hendersonville when it comes to people moving to Hendersonville. So I actually wrote down a few things about Hendersonville, and I want to share these things when it comes to the population growth. I want to share some numbers with you and kind of give you an idea of how fast Hendersonville really is growing. So let me just take you back to when Hendersonville really started and kind of take you from the beginning. So 1784 is when Hendersonville became really Hendersonville. But it wasn't until 1950, 1974, 69, somewhere in that range, the late 1900s, when Hendersonville really became Hendersonville. I want to say it was 1954 when they actually dammed Old Hickory, and that when the Old Hickory Dam became as what it is today, that really set Hendersonville on the map. So I would say about 1969, 1970, right up in that era, which is really not that long ago, you're talking about 50 years ago, is really when Hendersonville became Hendersonville. And back then, this is going to blow your mind, 1969, the population in Hendersonville in 1969 was 250 people. The population in Hendersonville here in 2022 is 61,000 people. So in 50 years, it's gained 61,000 people. So you're like, is Hendersonville growing? Well, you do the numbers, you can kind of tell that, yes, Hendersonville is growing at a really rapid rate. And not say me, but the market doesn't show any signs of that slowing down. A few other things that I wanted to share with you about Hendersonville is this is kind of just some ratings, and these could be pros, these could be cons. It really just depends up to you and what you're looking for, where you're moving from, all that great stuff. So livability, they're going to rate Hendersonville at an A, and these ratings could be A plus, A minus, down to B, C, all that kind of stuff. They're going to rate the education of Hendersonville at a B, which if you look at some of the other suburbs of Middle Tennessee, like Franklin and all these other different areas, I could definitely see why Hendersonville is at a B. But overall, I would say Hendersonville really, it still has some great school options. If you're like, hey, I want to make sure I find an area where I'm sending my kids to a safe place, you still have a lot of options. They're going to put the cost of living in Hendersonville at an A+. The cost of living, now COVID has definitely changed these numbers, but these numbers could go up, these could go down. But as of like right now, the cost of living is about 14% lower than the national average. So if you want to find a neighborhood or a suburb where you have a great like affordability, Hendersonville, that might be an option for you. Now, the crime, they're going to rate the crime in Hendersonville at an A-. That's actually going to be about 48% lower than the national average. So if you're like, hey, I want to find a safe area, again, that ties into education, find a safe place where you're sending your kids. But if you just want to have a safe neighborhood, Hendersonville, there's a lot you could choose from, and making sure that the crime ratings where you're moving are at a low. A few of the things that I want to share with you about Hendersonville, and again, this could be a pro, this could be a con. It really just depends on what you're looking for, whether you be a young person, a family person. I'm just going to share these numbers and kind of let you pick and choose what is a pro and what is a con. So the average age of someone living in Hendersonville is going to be about 40 years old. If you look at my last video where we talked about East Nashville, the average age in East Nashville is going to be about 33 years old. The average age here in Hendersonville is 40 years old. And that's going to kind of go hand in hand with these other numbers that I'm going to share with you. The average household in Hendersonville is about 3.2 people per household versus the average household, let's say East Nashville, the last video we did, that was 2 people per household. So the average age is 33 years old with an average household of 2 of East Nashville. The average age in Hendersonville is going to be 40 with the average household of 3.2. So what does that tell us? That again tells us that East Nashville is a young crowd, it's an entrepreneur, it's thriving, it's that young crowd. Versus Hendersonville, you're gonna have a lot more families, you're gonna have a lot more subdivisions, a lot more going for you in terms of that quiet subdivision where you don't have that fast pace of living in the city. A few of the things that I want to share with you about Hendersonville. Hendersonville, like I said, it sits right on, it's like a high plateau on the Cumberland River. Hendersonville is going to be about 36 square miles. So it's not super big, but it's not super small where everything is going to be condensed. You are going to be able to find some properties, with a half acre, an acre, sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 acres, for the lot of land. Compared to East Nashville, you're not going to really find a lot of homes where you have a big lot of land. A lot of the homes are going to be, 0.12, 0.15, maybe 0.2, maybe 0.50, which is a half of an acre. Some properties might be an acre, but your typical home in like East Nashville or West Nashville or even downtown is going to be a half acre. So Hendersonville, you are going to have some properties where you do have a little bit bigger lots of land. Again, that could be a pro, that could be a con. So it really just depends exactly what you're looking for. And that's why we're putting it in this video. Another thing that I'm going to share with you about Hendersonville, the average purchase price of a home. And again, this is in 2022, despite COVID and what's going on the market right now, this number could definitely change. It could go up, it could go down. I'm not the market, huge disclaimer. But right now, with the market, the average price is going about $500 per home. Now, there are some homes that are a lot cheaper than that. There are a lot of homes that are over that. This is just the average, compared to taking the most expensive home and the cheapest home and kind of how many homes there are on the market. And we'll get to that exactly, how many homes are in Hendersonville. But the average home is going to be about $500,000. And the reason why I point that out, if you look at my last video, I'm going to put it here at the top. Check it out. It's what can you get in Hendersonville for $500,000? And I'm going to cover exactly that range. And this video covers everything from 500 to 700. We also did a video from 700,000 up to $1 million. So if you're like, I want to move to Hendersonville, but I don't want to spend, 500. I really want to spend 700, or I don't want to spend 700. I want to stay in the $500 range. Check out these videos. A lot of content that you're going to learn from those videos. So with that being said, like I said, the population in Hendersonville is 61,000 people. With that being said, that's going to average out to about 48% males and about 52% females. And a lot of those, is families, and it could be families with daughters, or it could be whatever. It's really about 50-50. So you'll find that there are a lot of families living in Hendersonville. So that could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing. It really just depends It's up to you. Another thing that I want to share with you about Hendersonville is the average income. What you're going to see here in Hendersonville, the average income is about $65,000 per household, per family, per person working. And there are a lot of other areas in Middle Tennessee where the average income is going to be a lot higher, like Brentwood, Franklin, Belmead, Green Hills, Forest Hills. But if you still want to find some area where you have a good income like coming in, $65,000 really isn't too bad compared to there are some other areas in Middle Tennessee where the price of that is going to be significantly lower. Like I said, there's some higher, there's some lower, but you're kind of right in the middle, $65,000. A couple of things that I want to tie this up and share with you about Hendersonville. Again, this could be a pro, this could be a bad thing for you, but for the most part, we're going to say this is a con for the sake of this video when it comes to living in Hendersonville, is the traffic. Like I was saying, you're not close to downtown, you're not close to really anywhere. You're kind of surrounded by water. So you have Gallatin, which is really close to you. You have White House. There's a few other areas that are close if you want to go do some shopping. Now, there is a lot of shopping in Hendersonville, but if you want to go do some major shopping, really you got Nashville. That's really about the only option that you got. And like I was saying, if you travel to Nashville all the time, then that could be a con. But if you don't travel, that it may not be a con, it might be a pro. But if you do need to travel for Nashville, and if let's say you're leaving Hendersonville and you're going to Nashville, and you got to go, let's say between 7 a.m. to about 9 a.m., better be prepared to be in some traffic. And if you're leaving Nashville, coming back to Hendersonville, anywhere from about 3:30 p.m. to about 7 p.m., you better be prepared to be in some traffic because, well, that's just where you're located. That could be a big pro, it could be a con. But for the sake of this video, we're going to throw traffic as a huge con because a lot of people are moving to Nashville. They say about 100 people a day are moving to Nashville, Tennessee. And to be quite honest with you, Nashville, they're not quite keeping up with the infrastructure of the roads or the traffic of the potholes. So the traffic is getting worse every single day. So we're going to definitely include that in this video as a con. The last thing that I want to talk about here in Hendersonville, and again, this is going to be a con, the inventory shortage. Inventory, it's a low inventory market. And I hate to say it, but it's unfortunately, that's just what it is. So if you're looking to move to Hendersonville, you're not going to have too many options when it comes to snagging up a home. Now, I'm not saying there aren't options because there are homes coming and going off the market every single day. But if you compare the numbers from 4 years ago to 2 years ago when COVID hit to now in 2022, the market, it's gone down. The inventory, there isn't that many homes available compared to 2 years ago. There was a lot more to choose from. So yeah, another con that we're going to add in this video is a shortage of inventory. And I hate to say it, but that's just what it is. Alrighty, you guys, if you found value in this video, as always, please hit that thumbs up, hit that bell notification, hit that subscribe button, shoot me a phone call, shoot me a text. I would love to help you make that transition here to Hendersonville as smooth as possible. And I will see you all on the next video. Bye now.